Hello, welcome to Lil's Vintage World. A little while ago I announced that I was going to be doing a Q&A and here it is. So you've given me your questions, here I am to answer them for you. So in no particular order, I'll just crack on with it. I've got my phone here to answer your questions, and if you've asked me quite a few, I might only pick one or two because I have been asked quite a lot, more than I thought. So Sam first of all asked, if I could go back in time, what period would I go to, and are there any events in history that I'd most like to witness? I'd like to go to a few. I'd like to go back to the court of Elizabeth I and be a fly on the wall between Elizabeth I and Robert Dudley, just to, keep an eye out, see what was going on. I'd also like to go back to the start of the 20th century. In London, I'd like to be a fly on the wall with the suffragettes and the suffragists as well, where they go on their pilgrimage and things like that. I'd love to go and witness those. I think that'd be really interesting to go and see. So those. Next question is, who in your opinion is the closest to Agatha Christie in terms of genre and writing style? This is a really good one. In terms of writing style, I would say Patricia Wentworth. Patricia Wentworth has this ease of writing that Agatha Christie does, in the way that she says a lot of things without using a lot of words, if that makes sense. So I'd say Patricia Wentworth, and she's definitely underread as an author of this period. You know, the golden age crime writers of this period, she's certainly an underread one. I think because she has a character, Miss Silver, who's very much similar to Miss Marple from the outside. Once you start reading, you're like, oh, actually, she's nothing like Miss Marple. But I think from the outside perspective, she seems a bit like her, but yeah. Next question, what draws you to the books you read? What authors would you consider comfort reads? So first of all, what draws me to the books that I read is I read a lot of books that are connected to another. So a lot of my authors, when they were alive, because I read a lot, predominantly dead authors, they were friends with each other, and they've been reviewed by each other and things like that. So I read like Sayers and Woodhouse, I read Evelyn Waugh and Nancy Mitford, and they're all kind of combined together. They're all very similar. So yeah, and I read particularly a lot of kind of women's fiction of the early part of the 20th century. So Nancy Mitford, Barbara Pym, Angela Thirkell, Elizabeth Taylor, Rosamund Lehman, they're all very in that clique, I guess. So that's what draws me in. Anyone in the similar sort of clique I like. And what would I consider comfort reads? Books that I have read before and loved. And I like comfort reads to be rereads. That for me is a comfort read. So yeah. Okay, Wildclass has asked me a few questions. First of all, urban or rural? Rural. I grew up in the countryside, so being urban, I don't think I could ever live like in a city centre or anything. I'm much more of a country bumpkin. If I could live permanently anywhere in the world, where would it be? England. I love England. I do love England. And I'll answer one more. Are there any vintage authors you aren't fond of? Not really. I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it Nao Marsh? She was a classic crime writer, again, of the kind of golden age circle, and I don't like her books, sad to say. However, maybe I should give them another go in the future, maybe on audiobook form or something. Yeah, not for me. That's the closest that I can think of. Shannon said quite a long thing, and I just want to read it out because I think it's really important. She said, because of what the world is facing right now, I'd love to know your favourite books, fiction or non-fiction, that relate to the Great Wars, other epidemics / pandemics, or just struggles in general. I think it gives some perspective to people when they can read stories of great sacrifice or struggle, but also overcome these struggles. The one that came into my head is The Return of the Soldier by Rebecca West, which I read a long time ago, and it's definitely due a reread. But it's about these, I think it's 2 or 3 women, and they're at home, and a soldier from First World War, he comes back after suffering shell shock, and it's him coming back and getting used to normal, or a new normal life, and that's the one that kind of comes into my head. Linos, hello Linos, asks, who is your favourite queen from history? Elizabeth I, obviously. Yeah, she's amazing. Anthony asks, oh hello, I know you too. Who is / are your favourite figures in Tudor history? What a question. Elizabeth I, obviously. I love Elizabeth I for several reasons. Maybe I should do a whole video on why I love Elizabeth I. She's my historical heroine. I love how strong she is. I love how things that people think are weaknesses, she turns around into a positive and she completely owns them. And yeah, I think she's completely underestimated in her political powers and what she was trying to politically achieve in holding back. I think a lot of people think her holding back was a weakness, but I actually think that's quite a clever thing to do because other people are forced to like play their hand sort of thing. If that makes sense. Excuse me. So first of all, her. Also, of course, Anne Boleyn. I think if you're interested in Elizabeth, you're automatically interested in Anne and vice versa. But I'm more fascinated by Anne herself than her story. I find Anne fascinating, and particularly the more that I read about her, the more fascinated I find. But to be honest, any of the wives of Henry, I find them all equally fascinating, to be honest. And also, she isn't Tudor, she's actually medieval, but Elizabeth Woodville. So I'm cheating here. Again, there's similarities between Anne Boleyn and Elizabeth Woodville, and I think automatically you kind of, it's like a little line that you're kind of interested in. So yeah, there I am, cheating on that last one. Okay, Moonlight7 asks, what 3 books would you want if you were stranded on a desert island? You can't ask me that. How hard's that? Okay, right, first of all, I'm going to cheat. I would take my big binder that I've got of Agatha Christie's Poirot short stories. I'd take that because that's a big binder, and well, it's not cheating because that is one book. So yeah, I'd take that. I'd take The Inimitable G's by P.G. Wodehouse because I think I'd need a laugh. And I'd probably take something like The Strangest Family by Giles Hadley, which is one of my favourite non-fiction books, and it's definitely due a reread, and it's quite a chunky monkey, so it would help me pass the time. So yeah, probably take that one. I got confused with this, Amanda. Will you be doing more book reviews? Most of my videos are book reviews, so yes. Next question is from Sabina, and Sabina's asked, which period shows do you think are underrated? Sorry, I'm just getting comfy. I think there's quite a few. I think The Virgin Queen starring Anne-Marie Duff and Tom Hardy, I think that's underrated. It's not, you know, accurate, but I mean, rarely these shows are, let's be honest. I think that's underrated and I really enjoy it. I'm going to get cursed for this, but The Tudors. Not because I don't think people watch it. I do think The Tudors is quite watched, but I think, and I think The Tudors do so much wrong. It's absolutely infuriating. But I think what The Tudors do right, they don't get enough praise for. So the emotional scenes, like, I think they did some emotional stuff which was absolutely incredible. The death of Sir Thomas More, afterwards when Henry's kind of like haunted by it, I was like, yes, that's good, because Henry made a boo-boo there, didn't he? To put it lightly. The death of Anne Boleyn, that was incredible. Catherine Howard, when Catherine Howard is doing the dance and there's nice music and stuff in the background, that's my dancing. And you're also seeing the executions of the men as well. It's beautifully done. Obviously a horrible thing, but beautifully done. And the ending, where you have the ghosts come back of the wives. Yes. Yes. So The Tudors, for that aspect, not for much other stuff, to be honest, but I do think in that retrospect it is underappreciated. Also, Home Fires. I don't know if anyone's watched Home Fires, but Home Fires was they did 2 series of it and then they stopped on a cliffhanger. I was really annoyed. But they did release a book which I've got on my Kindle, which I still need to read. But Home Fires was about the home front, essentially, during the Second World War, and it was brilliant. It was really, really good. And I think a lot of people did watch at the time, but then they left it. And yeah, I think it's very much underappreciated and underrated. And also the film Suffragette. I think the film Suffragette is amazing, incredible, and it's one of my favourite films. And yeah, I think that's underrated. Yes, it's a feminist perspective, but what else would you like it to be when we're talking about the women's movement? So yeah, that one. Oh, favourite Giant Days character. This is such a good question. It would either be between Daisy and Esther. I love Daisy for she's sweet and she's kind and she's everything that we should strive to be. She's just generally a good person, and I love how they've built Daisy up slowly. So, you know, with her like sexuality and her confidence and things like that, and they've just slowly built her up, and I love that. And Esther, well, Esther's just amazing, isn't she? She's just sass on a stick. She's not on a stick. She's just sass, isn't she? She's incredible. So I think Esther would probably just have the edge because I find Esther so funny. And I love all the storylines around Esther. And I probably see more of myself in Esther than I do Daisy, although I think we should all strive to be a Daisy. And then I'll read one more by Sabina, which is favourite vintage item that I own. So I own some stuff that my grandmother had, which of course makes it favourite, but I think it would probably be a glass jar thing, and it's got this pink lid and it's called Sunburst, and it's from the 1920s, and it's beautiful, and that sits on my dressing table. So yes, and my parents got it for me for Christmas one year. Zoe asks, does your work involve history or books? If not, what would be your dream job? No, it does not. And my dream job is to be a historian. It has been since I was very little. Grace has asked a few questions. I'm just going to pick one of them. Why do you like history so much and mysteries like Agatha Christie? I think I like history so much because I like learning, particularly now that I'm out of education. Like, I've graduated university a few years ago. Well, more than a few now, but a while ago. And I like to learn and to keep my brain ticking over. I also like looking at evidence and evaluating it different ways, and yeah, I like that aspect of it. Why do I like mysteries like Agatha Christie? I don't know. Again, I think it's probably a similar thing, you know. Just getting my brain to work. I think that's probably why I like it, because as I read, I like to guess who's done it as I go along the way. So maybe that, because I do like puzzles and stuff too. Okay, next question. How did you first get into history and what keeps you interested in it? I did a whole video of how I got interested in history, which I'll leave for you up here if you haven't seen it. And if I could host a dinner party and invite 3 people from history, who would they be and why? I would invite... Oh, I've got to come on. I'd invite Elizabeth I, Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, and I'd just be a fly on the wall and sit there with a bucket of popcorn and just let it all take over and just let the women just sass all over Henry and be like, told you. Brilliant. Okay. Book Test asks, do you have any outfits or looks that are inspired by specific vintage books? I had an idea of doing a lookbook like this, but I haven't done it yet. So maybe I will do it as a lookbook in the future. I.D asks quite a few questions, but I won't go through all of them. I'll just go through a few. Favourite song, if any? Twist and Shout by the Beatles. Which vintage era do you most like? Cheating a bit, but I like Art Deco, so that's 20s, 30s. Do you want to live in the past? No. Your reaction to Avengers Endgame? I cried a lot. And do I have enough books to survive quarantine? I hope so. I'm trying not to buy books because I don't want to put pressure on the postal system, but then I also want to try and keep like economies going and stuff, so I don't know what to do for the best, really. Next question, what are my top 5 favourite books of all time? I can't answer that. Would you like a video of that? Because I think that requires quite a lot of thought. I mean, Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day by Winifred Watson, Excellent Women by Barbara Pym, The Inimitable G's by P.G. Wodehouse, 5 Little Pigs by Agatha Christie, Sad Cypress by Agatha Christie, I'm going to list some more Agatha Christie. I'll stop listing Agatha Christie. Can't be a mystery by Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie. The Strangest Family by Giles Hadlow. Innocent Traitor by Alison Weir. Lady in the Tower by Alison Weir. A Tale of Two Bad Mice by Beatrix Potter. Secret Garden by Frances Hodge Burdett. Wind in the Earth by Kenneth Grahame. Miss Palfrey at the Claremont by Elizabeth Taylor. Giant Days, generally. Yeah, let me know if you like a definitive answer for maybe a top 10, and I'll try and do a top 10. Okay, I'm nearly there. Morgan asked, do you have any history of fashion book recommendations? Yes, I do. I really need to do this video. I've had this video of mine idea in my head for a while. I want to do 3 videos. History of fashion book recommendations for vintage, historical, and then cosmetic. So yeah, I do need to get around to it. So have a go at me in the comments for not doing it yet, because I need to do it. And finally, Lara Croft, is that your real name? Because if so, that is incredible. Ask, a few years ago you mentioned you'd like to write a non-fiction book. How is that going? I know you like swimming. How did you get into that particular sport? I'll answer the swimming one first. I got into swimming because my brother, who's older than me, he already swam. And I loved my brother. I still love my brother. That sounds strange. But when I was younger, I wanted to do everything that my brother was doing. So I just kind of copy him, and swimming was one of them. And off I went. And now swimming is still very much my life. And writing a non-fiction book. No. Yeah, not going great. So I've tried to write a non-fiction book a few times. I tried to write a biography of Anne Boleyn, a biography of Elizabeth I, a book on the relationship between Elizabeth I and Robert Dudley. As you can see, I haven't published any books. They haven't gone great. I get so far through writing them and then I kind of give up. I don't know if non-fiction's for me. Maybe I should try my hand at fiction. I do think everyone has a book inside them that needs to kind of come out. So I don't know. Maybe I should try fiction, but yeah, it didn't go well. I struggle with writing. I always have struggled with writing, but I would like to at one point just write something. Oh, so there we have it. That is all of your questions answered. I hope that I have informed you of something about myself. I might do another one of these Q&As in the future because I thought this was really fun. Anyway, that is it for this video. Give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. Chat to me in the comments and I shall see you soon for the next video. Can you say bye-bye? Bye!